Hello everyone, and welcome again to another lesson of grammar with teacher Aziz. And today we're going to see the comparative and superlative form. Well, the comparative form, we're going to see the first part, which is about short adjectives. Right, we use short comparative form when talking about two things, not 3 or 10 or 1 million things, just or only two things, which means we compare between two things, two people, two objects, two animals, two cities, which means the maximum here you should compare between two things, no more, no less. For example, we have this person here, we have two people, we have fast, and the other one, which is ahead, who is ahead of him, is faster. And here we have small insect here, and we have another one which is smaller. So bear in mind that we have to compare just two things with the comparative form. So in the first part here we are starting with what we call short adjectives. So here we have the word than is often used with the comparative adjectives. For example, Jack is taller than John, and a sports car is faster than a motorbike. Right, so let's have a look at situations and the rules of the comparative form. So the first one here we have the one syllable adjective er than, which means we have here we add er plus than. For example, fast, faster than. So here we don't have any problems, as you can see, just we add er in the end of the short adjective and we add than after it. Let's have a look at examples. For example, hard, harder, smart, smarter, long, longer, soft, softer, soon, sooner, light, lighter, cold, colder. So as you can see here, just we add er in the end of the short adjective. Now let's have a look at the second situation. If the adjectives end in a single consonant after a single vowel, the consonant is doubled before adding er. For example, here fat is spelled F-A-T, and the last letter is T here, which is a consonant, and before it we have a vowel A. So in this situation here we have T becomes double T, then we add er plus than. Right, so to understand more we'll see these examples. For example, here slim, before M we have a vowel, so the vowel here, so the consonant will be doubled and we add er. For example, here we have thin, thinner, hot, hotter, wet, wetter, sad, sadder, big, bigger, fat, fatter. Now let's go to the third situation. Adjectives of two syllables which end in y, we change y to I and add er. For example, here we have happy, so the last letter is y and before it we have a consonant. So in this situation this y changes to I, then we add er and then. Alright, so let's have a look at the examples to understand clearly here. So as you can see here we have all of these adjectives end with y. So in this situation this y here changes to I and we add er. For example, ugly, uglier, funny, funnier, friendly, friendlier, heavy, heavier, busy, busier, healthy, healthier, dirty, dirtier, and angry, angrier. Now let's move to part number 2, which we're going to talk about long adjectives. We are still with comparative form, but this time with long adjectives. So adjectives of more than two syllables take more. For example, beautiful. We shouldn't say beautifuler, right? Here we have more than 2 syllables, as you can see. So we have beautiful, we have 3 syllables. So in this situation, we write more beautiful than. So here we have beautiful, we write more before it and then after it, and the adjective doesn't change at all. The same thing here, famous, we have more famous than. Let's have a look at more examples. Delicious, more delicious than. Boring, more boring. Dangerous, more dangerous. Enjoyable, more enjoyable. Serious, more serious. Handsome, more handsome. Comfortable, more comfortable. Hardworking, more hardworking. Popular, more popular. Powerful, more powerful. Casual, more casual. Right, now let's move now to the superlative form. We use the superlative form of an adjective to compare 3 or more nouns. So unlike the comparative in which we have just 2 maximum, here we have 3 or more. It can be 3, 4, 1 million, 2 millions, 1 billion. So there is no limit here. So lots of superlative and in est. For example, we have here in the example dark, this is the adjective. Darker, this is the comparative form, and darkest is the superlative form. We have here long, longer, and longest. So we often add the before the superlative form. For example, Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. Peter is the tallest boy in his class. So let's have a look at the rules now to understand more. Again, we are talking here about 1 syllable adjective, which means the short adjectives. We have here the plus the short adjective. For example, fast, the fastest. So we have fast, the before it, and est in the end of the adjective. Let's have a look at more examples. We have smart, the smartest. Long, the longest. Soft, the softest. Soon, the soonest. Light, the lightest. Cold, the coldest. Let's go now to the second rule. If the adjectives end in a single consonant after a single vowel, the consonant is doubled before the adding est. Like what we saw in the comparative form, in the superlative is the same thing here. We have fat, the last letter is t, and before it we have a vowel. So in this situation we double the t and we add est. Let's have a look at more examples. Slim, the slimmest. Thin, the thinnest. Hot, the hottest. Wet, the wettest. Sad, the saddest. Big, the biggest. Fat, the fattest. Now rule number 3. Adjectives of 2 syllables which end in y, we change y to I and add est. For example, happy, the happiest. Here we have y is the last letter and we have p, which is the consonant. So in this situation we change y into I here and we add est, like what we did with the comparative form, but here just we add est. Let's have a look at the second situation. We are talking here about superlative form, part number 2. We're going now to talk about long adjectives. So adjectives of more than 2 syllables take the most. For example, beautiful, the most beautiful. Famous, the most famous. Again, here we have other ones. Expensive, the most expensive. Difficult, the most difficult. Attractive, the most attractive. Crowded, the most crowded. Careful, the most careful. Intelligent, the most intelligent. Important, the most important. Old-fashioned, the most old-fashioned. Modern, the most modern. Interesting, the most interesting. Useful, the most useful. Now we reach the third situation of adjectives, which are called irregular adjectives. So irregular adjectives use completely different forms. Note, however, that some adjectives can be both regular and irregular, sometimes with a slight change in meaning. The most important irregular verbs listed in the table below. Here we have good. We don't say gooder than, we should say better than in the comparative and the best in the superlative. We have bad, worse than, the worst, late, later than. It can be with one T or with double T. The same thing, the latest and the last, as you can see. Little, less than or the least, much or many, more than or the most, old, older or elder, the oldest or the eldest. And the last one we have far, farther or further, the farthest or the furthest. So here we call these irregular adjectives because they don't abide by the rule and they are exceptions, and the only thing that you have to do is to memorize them. Well, that's it. Thank you for your attention and see you in another lesson.